right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. This is Will Bridges from 123Trade. We're about ready to start our client-only trading session here for today. We've got lots to talk about. The central bankers kind of spilled their guts in a lot of different areas this week. And there's well, let's just say a lot going on in the market. From a political standpoint, I don't think we could have more risk in the U.S. than according to Joe Biden, we haven't had this much risk since the Civil War, which is, I think, a hyperbole. He said it literally wasn't, but regardless, I think a hyperbole. How we doing, David? How we doing, Ray? How we doing, Val? Sam, Mahmoud, Mark, what's going on? Let's get this thing rolling. Do you mean real Joe That's funny, Ray. I don't know if I believe that stuff as far as the body double thing. I think they might pick a body double with a bigger brain. But there's actually a large portion of people that think that he's playing like an idiot so that he can get away with a few things later. We'll talk more about that later because they actually did find some legitimate election fraud in Georgia this week. Thousands of duplicate ballots, which is actually a big shock here in the United States. I know that everybody in this room is probably not in the US, but there is going to be some big movement if they come out with some hard evidence in Arizona at 10 o'clock this morning. That is a not overly talked about thing in trading, at least in the world of economics right now, because people kind of separate politics from economics in a lot of circumstances. But if the US decides that we have an illegitimate president, it's going to be pretty good for gold, not so much for the dollar. And we'll see how that plays out. Obviously, we're going to look at charts. We're going to go through a lot of different things. There's no guarantees in life. And we really, well, let's just say nothing. Well, we haven't seen what comes out of Arizona yet. It just seems to be looking like the leaders in Georgia might be going to jail sometime in the next 6 months. If anybody follows through with anything, it could be a nothing burger. No way to know for sure. But let's go ahead and get things rolling here. Got to cover our base. What time is it now? It's 9 o'clock. In Arizona, I think they're 2 hours behind. But Arizona's actually got a weird time zone, so we may actually take a quick look at that. But, you know, everything in this session, you know, we're going to talk about a lot of different things. Fundamental trading, you know, news. I'm going to bring up a lot of different currency crosses. We're going to talk about a few commodities. Everything here will be for educational purpose only. You guys do with the information that you like. If you want to place a trade, place a trade. Your call. I am going to do the best I can to help you guys understand risk and how that works and how big a trade actually is when you open it at a specific lot size. I'll do the best I can to put all those things in perspective for you guys. But, you know, if you do have questions, then please, please, please hit me in the chat box. If you are here for your first time, I'm going to go through a couple of things, a couple of places where, you know, you can get more resources and you can get some more help. If you guys haven't seen it yet, our website actually has a lot of good information. I have been putting out a lot of videos on our YouTube channel as well. And I'll just pull up the website is 123trade.com. There are a lot of YouTube videos on 123trade.com/YouTube because it does pull videos. It's 30 minutes after I post them. So if you want to look at them immediately when they come out, then you need to go directly to YouTube. Let me type this link in here for you guys real quick. But otherwise, Facebook group, the Discord server, if you were looking for places to get links for sessions like this, I post them all in here. If you want to know what I do with all the trading ideas once we get done, I post those in here too. All the videos, updates, announcements. You know, if anything goes wrong that I hear internally at Smart Trader or at AvaTrade or anywhere from a technology standpoint, this is where I'm going to post these announcements and give updates. Smart Trader is back online for everybody, by the way. I think all brokers. So that is good news. I know that they had a day and a half or so of downtime. The Facebook group, if you guys don't have these links, they'll share these links with you also. But I post everything in here. So if you are new and you're not, or you've been to these sessions a bunch of times and you're not in these groups, you should probably join. Because we're going to put a lot of information out here. I'm a little bit of a dork and I read the news for hours every day. So, I mean, sometimes let's just say I got to put the information somewhere. But I'm going to put the link for Discord server in here as well. Copy that. Here you go. got them both. And let's keep on moving. Like I said, if you do have a question, hit me in the chat box. I will be paying attention. Those of you that also, just to make sure everyone's on the same page with who we are, what we do. Okay, we are an introducing broker service. First, our main function is to help people get the best trading conditions in the world for wherever they are. If you guys ever need any help with your trading accounts, anything like that, if you need help figuring out how to put more money in your account, what you can get for free by doing so, then by all means send us an email. Happy to help you out. We're going to do these sessions every week to make sure that you guys know how to use the amazing tools that you have. And well, reality also teach you guys a few things about some tools you don't have. I'm going to show a system today in this session that I built in a YouTube video in about 15 minutes the other day that I think you guys will like a lot. But there's also going to be a lot of trading room access software. We have up to $20,000 worth of free stuff for various different deposit levels. So if you are looking to reload your account or fund a new account or refer somebody, then by all means, let us know. We can probably get you some cool stuff at no cost. But might as well get to the cool part. We used to show all of these other things here in this session every week, how to place your first trade. And, we're going to show how to place trades in here for sure. For sure. Okay. There are videos to show you how to do that and how the buttons work and where they are on the YouTube channel. And also on the Getting Started Trading page, there's more information as well. So if you want to know more information about this stuff, it exists. It is primarily on our YouTube channel, though, at this point. So if you need help verifying your account, for example, if you can't trade in your account because you're not verified, your account may be deactivated. So you may have to submit some documents to be able to trade. That's what that's about. But let's go ahead and get to the nitty-gritties. I want to talk about a little bit of news before we get into the charts. I'm going to pull up Forex Factory here. And what we're looking at for this week so far are, CPIs came out higher than expected. Wow, way higher. So inflation's getting worse in the United States. That's bad news. The same thing, let's keep on moving down here. Bonds are actually, not really a whole lot of movement in the 30-year bond market. The RBNZ rate statement, okay, I'm not going to open all these news articles, but they are hawkish in New Zealand. Probably the most hawkish of any central bank on the earth. And really, they are looking at situations where they might need to raise interest rates. So central bank paves way for 2021 hike. That's a year sooner than the US. And I don't know that anybody else is within 2 years of that. Okay, so they might be the hottest currency on earth, could become the next safe haven. So I think the New Zealand dollar is going to be very hot. We're going to be looking at that during the session, so pay attention. There's going to be some good opportunities, I think, today. Inflation in the UK, you see this 2.5%. They're probably going to have to raise rates too. That's a big deal. They haven't seen 2.5%. Just to show you guys, we'll pull up the graph here. Okay, 2.5%. It's been a while. Actually, they've seen some pretty interesting inflation here over the last few years. This is actually pretty high in the UK in general, but from a momentum standpoint, I don't know if you guys can see this trend line break that just happened here and the massive bullish momentum that's going upward. It wouldn't be surprising for this thing to keep on climbing, because right now they're expanding the crap out of their balance sheet at the Bank of England, and they are buying pounds like there is no tomorrow right now to try to drive up the price. So different reason, but I'm going to be bullish on the pound also. So probably not going to trade the pound New Zealand. I may look for other pound crosses against things I think will be weaker. For example, maybe the CAD. They had a press conference this week. They cut bond purchases for the third time. So that means that they're not going to support the value of the CAD as much. I think that there's a chance that oil, could continue to rise. We'll take a look at that. I think we've been trying to aim at $80 for a long time. I'm not sure if we've quite gotten there yet. Let's go ahead and take a check. You take a quick eyeball on that. We have a lot of trades going, and they all look pretty sexy. I'll pull this over here in a second. What's funny is that the only one that's pretty sideways is this crude oil trade. But well, let's just say I think that may change soon, especially if they decide to change tax law here in the US. But employment change, in Australia, these numbers are strong. They're under 5%. So Australia and New Zealand are looking like a couple of the strongest places on earth. This 7.9% GDP growth rate is red, but that's still amazing for China. Okay, so China is a driver of the economy in, well, really that part of the world. They're a very large economy. So if they are growing at 8%, they're going to have to buy commodities from places like Australia, New Zealand. And that's very good for business in that part of the world. So I'm going to be very bullish on the Aussie and the New Zealand for a considerable period of time, it feels like. And I mean, in the US, we continue to flounder. You know, unemployment claims are up. Manufacturing is down. So I'm looking at some weakness on the dollar. I'm looking at some strength in the land down under, the Kiwis over there. So, you know, let's go ahead and get onto the charts. Okay, so now we've got a good picture of what we think is going on. You know, we also had Jerome Powell come out yesterday, and he talked about how, you know, they're not so much afraid of Bitcoin, you know, hurting the value of real money. So the pump and dump is still on. Okay, so what we've got here, okay, we've got a lot of positions running right now. And if you guys can see, it's going pretty well. Okay, so gold, we got into a buy. I think that's probably a hold. It might even be a reload. So I'm actually going to pull up a few of these so you guys can get an idea. Pound CAD's probably going to be very hot. We've been in that one for a little while. And it does appear to be moving like a rocket. Okay, this system that I've got on the screen here, I've got a handful of moving averages going. And basically some of them are, you know, in shorter, I have them from shorter to longer periods. I have one with a much longer period. You know, this dotted one that's outside. And basically what I'm looking for is if the red lines are on top and I'm above my black line, I'm going to be looking for bullish activity. Okay, so, you know, it also might be a signal for me to close out if my blue line ends up on top. Okay, if I'm in a buy position. Okay, so right now, this thing would be in a buy position based on my moving average indicators. It also makes a heck of a lot of sense for, you know, this to go up based on the fact that Canada is not buying their money to support its value anymore, and the UK is. A lot more than they ever have. So if that's not a signal from the bank, I don't know what is. So let's go ahead and get into a little bit more of a Fibonacci type range on here so that we can figure out what high and low is. Because if we're at a high price, it may not make sense, but we did just break out. That's what this is called. This is a breakout. So this thing could come up, you know, very possibly up to our extension level above here. Because this is where we, well, our ABCD pattern on our most recent Fibonacci wave. I'll draw this here real quick, just freehand. It's going to be ugly. I'm not an artist. Let's go ahead and freehand this thing. But here's our most recent AB wave. Okay, there's the AB. We came down and we formed a C, and it's been creeping its way out. And this is where I think we're likely headed. Okay, so, you know, there's absolutely no gospel in the world. What we need to do is figure out how far we really think this might go. I mean, really, if you want to trade this bigger, you know, as far as bigger, I mean further, that probably wouldn't be a crazy idea. This is another thing that, you know, I might run an automation on. I think I got a message from somebody on YouTube this morning about, you know, maybe running the FX zone scalper. Okay, so how to run the FX zone scalper. So I'll show you guys a manual trade here real quick that might be, you know, a cost-effective, risk-reward wise place to, you know, really right now is not a terrible time in looking at things. But let's go ahead and get another line on the bottom here. Let's make this red. I'll make our current market price a little bit of a different color here. I'll make this other thing blue. This can be more obvious where we're at, where we're going, where we don't want to go. And really, if we zoom in here a little bit, I've got a pretty strong up move that happened a little higher, so I could probably use this low. We did make a higher high here just recently. We just broke out of this range. Okay, so very likely we continue to ride upwards. I'm already in this trade. I'm not going to jump in it again. I'm just going to let it run and try to hit our profit target that we have set here. Okay, so, oh, I did want to show the automation here also. So let's actually just do this on another chart because this is going to be a lot different than the other system I've got here. Hold on here. How many I must have? Interesting. Let's just go to another, I think I have a zone scalper. set up in here already? I think I do. Yeah, I do. So let's get this pound CAD back up here. I know a lot of people always have trouble picking currency pairs. That's really why I want to. Oh, I'm sorry, Ray. You know, as much as I want to complain, I've got to go to another wedding this week, which is cool. You know, I'm getting a little bit burned out on the wedding scene. I think I've probably been to like 30 weddings in the last couple of years. But let's go ahead and delete this out, clear all this stuff out. We already decided we're bulls here, okay? So I'm just trying to show you guys how I might turn on my indicator. Okay, so the FX zone scalper, I think, runs on the 15-minute chart. Not I think, I know. Okay, so if I want to turn this system on, I'm going to come over here, I'm going to push my... The benefit of running a system in this situation is that it will take profit all the time. You won't open up your, you know, your controls and see something that you've got, you know, this many trades running. You know, history-wise, let's take a look at that too. We haven't really had anything change. I don't think we've closed anything out since last week's session. So all of our stuff is for the most part running. We don't really have any like super intimidating losses in here to look at by any stretch of the imagination. It does look like we have some pretty sexy wins in here. Really like where we're at with gold, and I think that that's going to be hot. We're going to show that again in the session later. But let's go ahead and pull in the FX zone scalper system. And there's a lot of systems out there. If you want a robot, then we can probably help you try one at no cost if you want to put money in your trading account. So I just click the play button. Now I want to click visualization, trade direction. I'm just going to look for buys. Okay, I don't want this thing to look for sells because I don't think that is a good idea. I think that this is a buy, and I think that the bank just told us all the reasons, you know, why. So I mean, it's very much my opinion. This is making higher highs and higher lows as well. I just want to get into the next higher low. Okay, that's really what I'm looking to do. So lot type. Okay, you can do risk percent or fixed. Okay, fixed if you're brand new is probably easier to figure out because then you can just do the minimum lot size. Okay, max trades, this is extremely important. So if you want this thing to open up no more than maybe one trade at a time, you put a 1 there. Okay, if you want it to do 2 or maybe 3, that's totally up to you. But you need to pay attention to how much money that you have in, well, not only margin requirement that you're using at any given time, but also how much risk that you're taking. So don't go overboard with max trades and have this thing, you know, shoot like a howitzer. You know, you very much, you know, want to pay attention to whatever you're risking in every decision you make. Running a robot is no different. Okay, so the rest of these settings, you can set however you'd like. You can have fixed stop losses. You can have fractal stop losses. You can not have a stop loss and have the, you know, just the system use that stuff. I'm going to set it as fractals because I like that. And stops, you know, we can do these real or hidden. Okay, so totally up to you. Max risk percent is also cool. So if you want to set a max risk percent here and do, you know, risk percent, you want to risk, you know, maybe 0.01. Okay, and we'll do, say, maybe 4 trades. Okay, now I can't risk more than 5% with this system running at any given time, otherwise it'll close me out. Okay, so I'm going to leave this thing, you know, as far as the technical indicators, how it works, just as default, because I know that it was built for this time frame. I know that it was built to do, well, what I'm asking it to do. This one takes a you know, good 20-30 seconds, I think, to boot up. But once it turns on, I don't have to do anything. I'm just going to walk away, and let's keep on moving here. I know we've got a lot to show here today. So let's get back over to our other chart, and that one's just going to run in the background. Oop, hold on, not yet. I gotta wait until this thing turns on. Let's go ahead and just use a different chart. I want to use that system though that I haven't saved the template for. So in the meantime, let's figure out maybe I think the NZDCAD and the AussieCAD are likely to be fairly fun to play with right now. I think the NZD, as far as weakness goes, NZDUSD might be a strong one. So we'll take a look at all those here today. But there's a lot going on. So I don't want to waste any time here today. Realistically speaking, I'm just going to close this out. You guys understand that this thing is just going to run and look for buys only because of the way that I set up. Okay, there, whatever, I did it. Sorry, I got impatient right before I got to where I wanted to go. Save changes, cool. All right, and now we're back to our other page with our system. I've already got our pound CAD up here. We have any of these other positions open? Euro pound, I'm going to be in a sell for a while. I started selling that a long time ago. I think a big reason why was because a lot of people were trying to buy it. So I decided to go contrarian on that. Seems like we're getting underneath our long-term line here. Seems like it might actually be a sell as early as right now. So let's go ahead and just draw that out. I'm already in this. I'm not going to open another one, but I will show you guys what I would be looking for. And maybe that's not the easiest way to do this with the auto tool. Let's do this with the manual tool. There's our range. We haven't hit extension yet. We are testing the most recent AB boundary right now. We've already got a lower low. You know, basically this is what I think might happen here in the next, I don't know, relatively short period of time. Okay. And if anybody wants to know how this system works, check it out on the YouTube channel. I built it in about 15 minutes, and you can do the same thing. Okay. And really all I'm using it for is to tell me, you know, what the trend might be doing. So I have this dotted line on top. Okay. This black one, okay, is really my longer term. I've got 192 periods on that. So it's using 192 candles to get that line, and then 30, 40, 50, and 60 to get the rest of my lines. So I have a longer term trend, kind of a swing trend, and more of a scalp trend with my blue and my red lines that are here. So if you guys want to figure out more how that works, by all means, check out the YouTube channel. For right now, I just want to make sure you guys have a basic idea and that you understand really what I'm trying to do. Okay, so from a risk reward standpoint, I need a previous high. Hi Pax, how are you? Let's see. And let's go ahead and put a place where we might, actually that's not my stop loss, I apologize. This is my mistake. I got confused on the colors. I need to pull this down to my current market price, figure out where my stop loss might make sense. This price doesn't make sense, just so we're on the same page with that. Okay, so maybe I have to be a little bit tighter. Maybe our previous high is where it's at. Okay, so this isn't necessarily the heaviest, you know, risk reward that I've ever seen. You know, it's not quite amazing in the risk reward standpoint, but you know, realistically, I think this one's very likely to come down because Europe is still talking about having room for lower interest rates, and well, let's just say that GBP has been taking a different approach. Their bank seems to want expensive pounds. Europe seems to want cheap euros. I'm going to play on what they're telling us and really what the economics call for. That's really what I'm doing on the calendar is I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, inflation here is high. They're going to have to do this. Okay, so if you don't understand that, that's okay. Keep coming to these sessions. You'll get better at it. There's also videos I put out to show people this stuff every week, to kind of give a forecast for what's coming down the pipes. NZDCAD, I did mention this one, and I mentioned that this one would probably be a good one to buy. It looks like it has been. This might be a right now type of opportunity that I might add on to. Okay, so using our system here, we're above our little black line. I've got my red indicator on top. These are nice and wide. What that tells me is that we've got a strong upward trend. I'm also looking at some increasingly high highs, increasingly high lows. And just to show you guys what I'm talking about, these, okay, these are the highs I'm talking about. These are the lows I'm talking about. They're getting higher. Okay, so maybe this thing makes a higher low. It could come down here. Who knows? Okay, but realistically speaking, okay, my job as a trader is to figure out what's equitable and what makes sense. Okay, so you know, depending on what your trading strategy is, if you're a scalper, some people might be on this, you know, like a fat kid on a cupcake, and I'm going to be on this right now. I need to get in this trade right now. This might be, you know, those real quick trigger pullers that are going to try to get in this a couple of different times may try to get in right now. Okay, and that would be where our blue line is. Okay, our extension level. Actually, let's go ahead and get this red line below here. Depending on what we've got for space, let's get rid of this fib so I can see what we're doing. Once I mark this breadcrumb up here, get our green line where we might rip the tape on life for this one temporarily. This is a good 100 pips away, 120 or so. So I don't necessarily need to be this tight with my stop loss. What might make the most sense in this scenario, since, you know, really this thing could come down and test this big demand zone that we've got in here. I'll draw a box around it. I'll get rid of the fib so we can see this better now, because we don't need this fib to measure anymore. But when I'm talking about demand zone, okay, all I mean is that the price really, you know, kind of went back and forth in this area for a while. Okay, so if I decide that I want to get in now, I may put half of my position in now and the other half of it lower. Okay, and the reason why is because I want to plan for the fact that this thing can come against me. I don't have really I have a place I could put a stop loss that's relatively close, but it's almost too close for me. And I'm more of a position type of person. We have a better than a one-to-one opportunity from the current market price almost. I think it's actually about a one-to-one. And down below here is much better than that. How high do I think this is going, Ray? Let's go to the all-time frame. Okay, it could come extraordinarily high. And it's really difficult to say for sure how high I think this is going. In the short run, I think that all the way up here is probably not crazy to think about. Okay, 92.5 is a few hundred pips away. That's still within our active range. And then the next big level above that is at 95 cents. Okay, so nothing telling us that this thing can't get out of this range either. Okay, so I think sideways is the most likely. Okay, at some point, I think this thing comes back and touches this 95 area if you guys want to talk about long term. Okay, but let's get back down to our 1 hour. Okay, and I don't think we are, yeah, we are already active in this one. But I'm going to take a picture of this. This is more or less what I would be looking at if I wasn't already in this. Okay, so let's crunch this down. I need to get my, actually I need to get my exit price back on here, because I did just move that. Oop. All right, so let's get a picture. Did it. And all right, let's go check out the NZDUSD. We got lots of stuff running right now. I want to get into something that we're not running. All right, and cool thing is we've already got our system giving us a signal here. We are starting to poke above our black line, and we have been. Okay, we just got a higher high. We're at the meat of our zone right now. This might be something I reel in and I load up, and I just look for, hey, maybe even a consolidative trade just because I've got a good opportunity. In half an hour, you think, Ray? That's so funny. You're never wrong, Ray, just early. That was a joke for those of you that haven't been to the session before, or you're watching this for the first time on YouTube. There's no guarantees, but that's a fun trading joke, to say the least. I'm never wrong. I was just 10 years early on that trade. Let's see. And let's get a blue line in here. My favorite one to draw because it's easy. But this looks like a pretty solid opportunity to moi. I think that, you know, well, I thought this was going to be strong, bullish before we got here. And then we got here and all signs point towards up. So I don't necessarily need to do a whole lot, you know, by way of anything else. There's a lot of strategies that you could take. You could probably turn on a robot here too if you wanted to. A lot of people may throw on something like the Grid Pro. A lot of people might throw on the Perfect Storm right here, whatever. Or you could just hit this range. You could try to trade out of the range above. But right now what we're looking at, okay, and I need to measure my risk. Okay, this is a 69 pip risk for a 142 pip opportunity. Let's go ahead and get that punched into our trading widget. Okay, so we are just looking at a 2-to-1. This is, well, what I like to find, to say the least. We'll just call it a 70-140. Do both of these by pip. Okay, and now the important part to understand is how much money am I risking? Okay, that is the most important thing for you to understand, is how much money am I risking? And the way you figure that out, okay, is by taking this number that I just highlighted in the box here, okay, your lot size, you multiply it by 10, and then you multiply it by the pips in your stop loss. Okay, so 10 times 0.1 is 1, And that makes this a $70 risk from a 0.1 lot size. Okay, so if I can't risk $70, then maybe I make this smaller. Okay, so if I'm looking for $7, that would be a 0.01. Okay, if I want to risk $14, that'd be a 0.02. If I want to risk, $21, 0.03. If I'm the type of person that wants to risk, close to $50 pretty much every time that I place a trade, I might do a 0.07. Okay, so really kind of up to you guys, what you put in there, whatever you're comfortable with losing, like you just bought a sandwich and ate it, is a number that you should put in there. Okay, otherwise you're going to be thinking about whatever it is that you traded for the rest of the day and the whole time you're not here. And as smart as I may sound or try to sound, I'm not right every time. I lose trades. So, I plan for that, and I know well, that's why we have a stop loss. That's the whole purpose of having a stop loss, is because there's a chance the market does what it wants and not what I want. Okay, so I want to make sure that that's clear. I'm going to go ahead and open up this position, try to keep it close to what we usually do in this whatever account that we've got going here, and we'll click buy. Okay, so we're in. See you later. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at gold. I know a lot of people want to see gold. XAU, USD. Actually, let's go back real quick. I need to take a picture of that. NZD. Let's get a pic. Let's see. Camera button. Can I put a fib in there, please, Hyacinth? If you want me to do that, we can do that. You're talking about for right here? I guess I may have been a little bit too high. Maybe 71.2. Grand scheme of things, though, I really think that this thing is coming a heck of a lot higher. A heck of a lot higher. I don't think there's any reason why this thing can't get to, well, I think I said a pretty high number before, but realistically, this 72.45 level is very likely to happen also. Really just kind of depends on how you want to do this. I mean, you could take profit, or you could just wait and let it go and do nothing for the next few months. We haven't taken profit on anything in 2 weeks. A lot of times when I get in that situation, sometimes I look at things and I say, you know what? This 119 pips, I might take it. That's up to you guys. That's kind of a trader's choice, what you guys want to do in those situations. Personally, I think that we're at the beginning of the trend going our way, so I'm not going to do that. Let's get over to the XAU USD. All right, we are on gold. Gold is also giving us a buy signal, really since beginning of July, end of June. We've really been getting a buy signal from our system. So, I mean, you guys, this system is not complicated. Okay, I don't remember where I read this in a book a few years ago, and I don't know, I built this in 15 minutes on the YouTube channel. But it's literally just giving me a bunch of averages. Red on top means uptrend to me. Blue on top means downtrend. And if we're above my little black line here, then I'm going to look for buys. Cool thing is that it finds higher highs and higher lows. It's really just a trend finder for me. So, if you're running a trading robot, this might be an easy way for you to figure out what direction you might want to run it. Maybe not necessarily on your XAU USD here on gold, but otherwise, that's really what I think anybody should have a system to figure out what direction the trend is going. Oh, I did not mean to take that picture there. My mistake. Let's see. Let's get a fib on here. But if you guys, just to show you guys real quick, I know that I mentioned this, but we're getting lots of higher lows here. Okay, very clear cut. Okay, and we are broken above our long-term trend. Sorry, my computer screen froze there for a second. But let's get a Fibonacci on here. And this is going to be kind of I'm going to do this manually. I know I lean on the automated tool a lot. I want to show you guys more or less why I would pick this level here. Okay. Actually, let's clear out all the other garbage that's on the screen before we do that. All right, so this might be the level that I'm looking for. Okay. So that being said, this thing could come down, test the top of our range, because I think this is a very important price. The reason why I picked this price to be the top of this in this instance here is because we have a high here, we have a high here, and we have another one right here, okay, at that price. So that the market for some reason cared about this price a lot, so I care about it with my trading tool. That's really the whole thought process there. I'm looking for patterns, okay? I've seen probably 300 trading strategies in the last 7 years. And really, all of them are pretty similar. They just use a different thing to highlight something. that's really really the best way that I can explain that to people. But the automated tool, a lot of people are big fans of this. I'll go ahead and turn this on. Okay, very much, you know, use that level as well. I looked at a little bit more of a high time frame approach because, well, let's just say this doesn't really provide me a good trading opportunity right now. Okay, and our long-term trend does look like we may be busting up on top again with our system that I have not run on a daily chart, so I'm not 100% sure how good these settings are going to be for where we are right now. But this does look like an uptrend to me, and there's every reason in the world to believe it comes up a lot more. I think that really the Fibonacci tool might be more valuable here. Okay, we got a double bottom on that right side. We did hit close to our blue level below. Really have already made it up almost to our extension level. This 1920 number might be the place where I would want to take profit. 1919, whatever. And maybe this thing continues its sideways movement. If this thing busts that line and makes a higher high above these highs on the left, above this 1950 area, then this thing could be going to the 2000s. Okay, so I very much am bullish on gold. I have been for months, okay, for most of this year. Okay, so obviously this market is manipulated heavily by whoever does that at the COMEX or wherever it is that they decide how much paper gold is allowed. But there's 88 contracts for every 1 ounce of gold that actually exists. So 88 people own each ounce of gold that exists. And I don't think anybody knows that, okay? But it's, well, let's just say if you come to these sessions enough, you probably know that. If you don't, then most people don't even know what the Federal Reserve is here in the United States. And inflation sounds like, you know, I'm going to be going to the, you know, float down the river for a few hours to most people. So, you know, that's why all this stuff is able to persist, is because people don't understand that the government is stealing money from you. That's what's happening when they print. Okay, so let's go ahead. Okay, get down to back down to our lower time frame. Stop complaining about the people that run the world. And let's try to make money with them, because that's what trading is all about. And that's that's how you take advantage of inflation, is that you jump on the train. Okay, the stock market is up like 30% this year, okay, in the US, which is insane. No reason, company valuations in the US haven't gone up 30% this year. I can promise you that, people. Promise. Okay, as far as gold goes, if you haven't traded this before, then I would strongly suggest trading this in a demo account first. It is going to be much different than trading something like a Forex cross, because there is going to be different amounts of risk. And this, I might look for a similar opportunity on this that I showed. I think it might have been the NZDCAD earlier, because if this thing does decide to dig against us, I want to get in again. Okay, and I want to have my stop loss below a level I'm comfortable with. I want to have solid risk reward, at least 1-to-1 on this first trade, and heck, I've got 4-to-1 if we come down to our second price here. Okay, so I very much like this type of opportunity on gold. Not looking for a massive move. What I'm showing you here is kind of a scalp. Long term, like I said, this 1919 level up here feels like it can happen, and I don't see why it can't. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take a picture of this one. You can trade this from Smart Trader if you want to. Okay, by the way, just so you guys know, you have to click where it says non-tradable. This is actually a list. So then you just scroll down, you look for gold, here it is, and then you can type in the prices and do all that fun stuff. This chart is in dollars, so if your account is in a different amount of money, this is going to be really confusing for you. Or in a different kind of money, this is going to be confusing for you to do from Smart Trader. So you may, just might, want to go into into MetaTrader 4. But right now, it seems like things are going pretty well. We're up a lot of pips. So I got a picture of this one. Let's go ahead and scroll down here. We've got Aussie USD. We have a sell here. I may actually look to get out of this trade. Maybe not. We're getting a much different technical signal from our Aussie USD than we are from our NZDUSD. Usually those correlate pretty heavily, but this one seems to be falling a little bit more. So we are still below our black line here. And, well, let's see, we've got our red line. Well, seems to be making a cross. So this is kind of a trader's choice. We're hedged on the Aussie USD, NZDUSD. So if I want to just take this profit, I might just take this little baby win here. It's just a little guy, 24 pips. And that was kind of a choice that I just made based on the other trades I have open and the other opportunities that I'm looking for. Because let's just say I'm looking for dollar weakness in a lot of circumstances. The race to the bottom is real. The dollar may not be the weakest on earth. It could be the Aussie, but I doubt it. Okay, just looking at the economic calendar that we just looked at, and also knowing what news is coming out in about 2.5 hours. So that being said, let's keep on moving here. I think silver is probably another one a lot of people want to look at. We'll come back to that one later. I know we are getting towards, we're getting into the meat of this session here. I want to make sure we show everything we set out to do here today. And I know that the NZD, okay, we looked at NZDCAD, NZDUSD. Let's go ahead and check out, I don't know, maybe the NZDJPY. Okay. This one may actually be sideways as well. It is falling right now. There could be a lot of strength in the JPY with increased risk in the US. So if the stock market crashes here in the US, or anything bad happens, or if we decide that Joe Biden's not the president this afternoon, then the JPY is very likely going to be a heavy shelter currency. Same thing could be said for the Swiss franc. There's no gospel in the world, people. This could be a nothing burger. They've been telling us all week that the ballot counts in Arizona were off, but they haven't told us by how much. And that's really what's going to happen a little bit later. So I hate to be a bear on the market, but right now I am very much, afraid of what's going on. In politics, as far as trading goes, I'm excited. So very different feelings there, but fortunately I do trade and I can benefit from these situations that, the government decides they want to do things I don't like. So these NZDJPY might be a scary one. Maybe the USDJPY would be a good place for us to look, because I am expecting maybe some dollar weakness. It does seem to be that's already getting confirmed. We're getting a fall, a quick fall right now on this USDJPY. We are below our long-term trend. We've already come up and tested. Maybe it comes a little bit higher, but end of the day, I'm looking at, from a technical standpoint on this thing, a pretty solid signal, in my opinion, that this thing could be coming down. Here's our trend. Okay, we did break below. Okay, we did create a high that is lower than our previous highs. So not only did we break our trend, okay, we have a lower low and a lower high on the right side of our trend line. If you caught all of that, then you can probably become a pretty decent trader just by knowing how to find things like this, okay? So there's a low on the left, here's a low on the right, this is the right side of our trend line, okay? Here's the high above our trend line, okay? Here's another high, okay? And here's another lower high. So this thing is creating lower highs and lower lows, okay? So we busted actually a couple of lows on the way to the one we're at now. This could very well fall for a good period of time. And if we go to the all-time frame real quick, just to see what this thing looks like, okay, our average is all the way down here at 103. Okay, that's 600 pips away. You guys hear that? Okay, our average on the monthly time frame is all the way at 103. I don't think we get all the way there. Okay, so let's just say even if we went halfway, okay, it's forming what is called a dark cloud cover formation right now. That's what this is. If this thing closes out like this, okay? So I'm very confident that this thing could be coming down just based on a few technical factors. Nothing crazy wild, when it comes to technical indicators, but we've got another trend line break here. This has been a sideways trend for a few years. Okay, there's our break on the higher time frame. I showed you guys one on the hour chart already. This thing is going to be, in my opinion, bearish for a little while. I don't think there's any reason on earth why the US dollar should bust out and we'll not ever see these low prices down here again. This might be the best time to sell this thing in years. It could be the best time to sell it since 2015. Okay, so to show you guys what I mean, I'm going to get rid of this extraneous line I didn't want there. I like to look for trades on every time frame. Okay, The reason why I do that is because if I don't have to go to the lower time frame, then I don't want to care about it. If I think there's a big move that I can, let run for maybe a few months, maybe a year, then I'll just trade it small and I'll move on, and maybe I'll turn a robot on in between. But basically, we've got a pretty big move there. Reality is, I think this thing could come all the way down. I mean, this on our weekly chart here, okay, our moving averages are still measuring the last 192 candles. And it's got a slightly closer term that it's looking at on my blue and my red lines here. But really, this hasn't changed trend, but maybe this will be the third time in the last 15 years with this tool. So this could be it. This could be the time. Now, this thing doesn't change trend often. So it could be time for this thing to make the big move down. And there's really no way to know for sure. But it has hit our green line here many times over the last few years, and that's the level that it's going to want to test to see if we're going that low. So maybe we come down to this day chart. I'll just show you guys all these time frames. We'll do this the right way. Now, I won't be such a punk about not showing you guys the analysis because I've got my assistant here and I'm going to be lazy. Okay, but maybe I tighten up my stop loss a little bit. Maybe we're not so far away there. Maybe I even use this high. Okay, so now we've got much better risk reward. Maybe if I want to be more conservative on the bottom side because I don't need quite as much reward and I want to make sure we get to a price where the market's, turned around before and I get out there. I want to get out where the market has turned in the past, because if the market has made a big U-turn for God knows what reason at any of these prices, okay, then I want to get out at those prices. Okay, so that's really what I'm trying to do. Okay, as soon as we get into the meat of those, I got my 2-to-1, I'm out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and set this up here real quick. USDJPY. First thing I need to know is how much money am I risking? Okay, so this is how many pips. Okay, so 210. This is going to be a big opportunity. 400 pip move, so we'll say 210, 400. Okay, now I need to know how much money am I risking on this decision that I'm making right now. Okay, so if I put a 0.1 here, this is a $200 risk. Okay, so if I'm used to doing $50 every time, probably not what I want to do. I might do something like a 0.03. Okay, a 0.03 is going to give me somewhere, $50, $60. Okay, so as far as, if I want to go smaller than that, okay, maybe a 0.01 is about a $20 risk. Okay, so for a $40 opportunity. So if I can get $40 for a decision and I only can lose 20, then I only have to be right, 3.5 times out of 10 trading like this. Makes me very comfortable. I'm going to open this one up. We'll just go ahead and do this real quick. But you need to be okay with whatever amount that you are risking. You need to be okay with that money disappearing from your life. If you're not okay with that, okay, what's going to happen to you as the trade progresses, you're going to go through these mental gymnastics of, should I keep it? Should I get rid of it? If it goes to my price, I could double my account this week. I could make $1,000 today if it goes my way right now. And, people think that way. And that usually doesn't work out. Usually it feels like whatever higher power that you believe in is listening. Okay, or maybe you don't believe in one. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But maybe, if the chart starts to move up like this and we get close to our red line, a lot of people panic. They close the trade before the market does something like that. Okay, so to avoid that, feeling of remorse and FOMO, okay, then trade it small enough so that you don't have to sweat while this thing gets to toward your stop loss, so that you can leave it and come back and just see what happened in a month. That's really the least stressful way for me to trade, is setting up something that I don't care about. And if I go on vacation for the next week, then it doesn't matter. Like, I might lose 2% of my account. Boo-hoo. So that's really how this should be. So I'm going to take a picture of this thing. And if it's not like that for you, then I don't think you're going to be profitable anytime soon. Just being honest. I've seen a lot of people trade, thousands. I've spoken to many people. I used to talk on the phone for a living to people that were trying to buy an $8,000 trading course. That's what I did for 10 hours a day every day for years. Okay, and then I started building systems and helping people get better support, and I became an operations guy, and now I'm part of the brainstorming team, and we come up with new strategies all the time, and then I became an instructor, and now I'm talking to you. Okay, everybody wants to know the same thing. They want to know what's the difference between the people that make money and the people that don't, and I just told you. So let's go ahead and keep on moving. I've got a lot of other things we want to talk about in here. Let's get to, let's check out silver, XAGUSD. We're making good time with our cute little system here. And this is our day chart that we're on. So I'm going to bump down to our hour. Okay, this is going to be a little bit more of a, actually we're already in this one too. You guys can see where we got in at this blue level. I think this was a pending order that we had set. If I remember correctly, I could be wrong. But generally, I mean, still a good opportunity right now. Still looking at the same prices. Could break out of our range, maybe not. Either way, this is still the trade that I would be looking for. So, that being said, I'll take a picture of this. I'm just going to repost this. And we're going to move on, because I don't want to waste anybody's time. There's a lot of things to look at. Sun shines on every dog some days, Pax. But, I mean, really, you had a lot of opportunities to get in at this entry point, just so we're on the same page with this. As far as this entry goes, this entry level really was available from the 17th of June all the way until it was available for a month. So, it's we're really not far off now. We're still in one-to-one territory, and if you trade to the top of this box, it's better than that. So, for those of you watching the recording, just trying to throw a couple of ideas out there for you if this thing takes off like a rocket before you watch it. So let's go ahead and move on. Anybody has a currency pair or cross that they want to see in particular, then by all means, now's the time. Speak now or until next week, hold your peace. But let's go ahead and look at the EURNZD. Okay, we haven't looked at this one in a minute. It looks ugly. It looks real ugly. Let's try to see what this looks like on the day. All right, so on the day chart here, it does look like we are testing. Let's get to our high time frame. I want to give everybody a better idea of what's been going on with this thing for a while. And like I mentioned earlier, right at the beginning of this presentation, okay, this, well, all the central banks, New Zealand is talking about, I got you on the dollar hyacinth, we'll get there. We'll do that next. My fault. I felt like no, I haven't done that yet. We looked at gold first, sorry. But yeah, basically this thing has been falling with a vengeance lately, okay? And what I want to show is really just a few technicals for people to understand, how far this thing could come down. This is our month time frame here, okay? And this has been making higher highs, higher lows, all this fun stuff on this line over here, okay? Okay, that said, I think there's a good chance we come down and try to test that line. We've got lots of divergence in our lines right here. We're kind of sideways, okay? Our average is way above, okay? So this is a bullish signal actually from our system here. We've got red on top. This is actually telling me bull, okay? But if we come down to a lower time frame, and it is, in my opinion, still long-term bullish, okay? Still long-term super trend. I'm not talking about today trend. I'm talking about like decade trend, okay? But we come down to our lower time frames, okay, this is our weekly, okay, we're looking at a little bit of a different story with our indicator sets that we've got here. Okay, so now I've got my red on the bottom, we're underneath our average here. So on our lower time frames, my system is telling me to sell on my weekly. Let's see if my daily is also telling me, actually kind of a mix. We're at the level right now. Let's check out the 4 hour. Okay, and right now, we're in this big mess. Okay, so this thing's going to break out. If I could hedge here in the United States, this might be a situation that I might do that. But that being said, since I can't, I'm going to find something that I can be more easily biased on. And when I look at this, my long-term trend has been down for quite some time. Here is my, trend line. We did break. We did get a lower low on the right side of our trend line here. That's the important part. Sometimes it'll pop up above this trend again and people get confused. We have a high here, we have a slightly lower one here. That's a double top. Okay, on the bottom here, we have a low, we have a lower one, and we have a lower one. And that one's actually lower than this one too. Okay, so that said, this thing does look like it's making a turn to me. and in my opinion, could go a very long way. Very long way. Let's come up to our day. And this thing has a tendency to move like a rocket also. I don't know if you guys see this big wick that happened up here. This was a one-day thing, I think. Yeah, March 18th, okay? Open, close, total range, 1,750 pips. This thing is a rocket when it wants to be. Okay, so that really is just a taste of what could happen on this type of thing. If we pull a trend line on the top here, okay, this is a more recent trend that we've got. Okay, that looks like a pretty solid time for us to break out of this pennant that we've formed and sell the crap out of this thing until we get back down to our longer super trend at this lower level. Okay, so I'm going to pull a Fibonacci here. Oop. Let's get our smart fib on. Get rid of this. I'll leave the lock on for a second. Oop, I missed the candle, I believe. Zoom in here a little bit. All right, there we go. That's what we're looking at. And we've got a breakout here. This thing very much lines up with exactly what I've been talking about since, well, we drew our super trend line on the bottom. That might be where we end up coinciding with our super trend. Actually, let's get this down this extra line here. Make this one blue. Need to pull my stop loss in here. This is definitely not going to be this high. Okay, so this is more what I'm looking at. Okay, is a fairly large opportunity. This is hundreds of pips. I think I've shown you guys a couple thousand pips so far in this presentation. If you haven't been paying attention. So, you know, people make predictions all the time. I like to show up like Babe Ruth. Okay, I like to hit dingers. Okay, and I like to run robots. I like to do things that involve me doing less work because I'm lazy and I want the market to do the work. Not even so much that I'm lazy. The market exists. It might as well be working for me. Okay, that's how all the elite people in this world think. You know, I don't have to, you know, cause famine to make these decisions and live like these people. I just have to make decisions that, you know, they make money off of. I'm going to make money off of them too. But yes, on our 1 hour time frame, this is a sell signal to the max. We are at our actual, like, this would be the entry place. Okay, if I just wanted to trade purely from this system, we are testing our average on our long term. We've got lower lows that are happening. I've got red here, so we're below our black line. I've got red on the bottom. We're at a relatively high price in the short run. I'm in like Flynn, people. Let's go ahead and get this long-term trade set up. Let's measure this thing. Okay, some of you are probably going to want to be a little bit less cavalier about how far you want to take this thing, and I'll show you guys what that looks like too. And maybe we should just pull a quick fib on here. I'm doing this for you, Hyacinth. I know you want the fib on there. All right, so I've got my AB there now. Let's see where this thing may extend. It looks like that one is no longer valid, so let's dump that. It looks like, well, I think that may be what we need to use, just not on this time frame. Let's do the weekly. So I am going to measure this one manually. Fun continues. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we did come up, we hit our green level above, so this may be a situation where everybody wants to get out, at least in the short run. You know, maybe not aim for the 700 pips that I talked about. Maybe just this super meaty price here at 166. Okay, that's still 200-300 pips away. Let's come down to a lower time frame so we can figure out where to put our stop loss in a place that actually makes sense for us. Because right now it is way, way too far away for what we're going to be doing in the short run. Tighten this bad boy up. And now we're looking at more of a manageable situation on this trade when it comes to risk reward. I'm going to take a picture and we're going to move on. I don't think I'm in this one, so we may actually sell this real quick also. It could come up a little bit higher. So for those of you that want to spread out positions, you know, maybe you'd look to add another position somewhere a little bit higher if it does do that. So I like to use a place where the market's turned around a bunch of times if I'm going to do that. So I may enter this thing twice and look at something like that. Okay, so I did just get a picture of that. We are ready to move after I place this trade. Okay, so I need to measure my risk. Current market price, 180 pips to try to get 250. I'm in. 180, 250. I've got so much confluence here. I feel really good about this one. Better than a 1-to-1. Means I don't have to win. I can lose the majority of trades and still be profitable. That's really what I'm aiming for. Okay, that's what I want to do. Okay, I like to aim at a lot of prices. By the end of the day, the market's going to do whatever it wants to do, not what I want to do all the time. Because if I have news, maybe the people that run the bank have that news too. And, well, I should say most people don't look at the economic calendar. At least, you know, I've seen very few people go through and try to pick currency pairs in that fashion. But let's go ahead and move on. I think Euro USD, US dollar. I know a lot of people have been asking for the dollar. Let's go ahead and just show the dollar, so you guys can get an overarching idea on that. It looks bullish on this time frame. On our 1 hour, it does look like we are working our way. This is really what I've been using this system for. Is this? I built it as kind of a scalping system. Maybe not scalping, maybe like a scalp swing type of system. You know, a couple of days maybe type of trades. But this thing has been an uptrend really since we broke above. And you guys notice this turnover here. We went through a bunch of sideways junk. The market turns like a cruise ship. Okay, it's not typically going to just fall. Something has to happen for that to happen. And you know, usually if something like that could happen, there's a lot of indecision for days leading up to it. And you get something like this pennant that's happening up here. Okay, so if I go ahead and draw this for you guys, it'll be a little bit more obvious what I'm talking about. But you know, we've had a lot going on here in the U.S. for the last few days. I mean, Joe Biden showed up in Pennsylvania yesterday to basically complain about election audits, and on the same day, Georgia actually provided hard evidence that they don't have an accurate count in Georgia. So literally, like the first Fox News, you know, one of the biggest news outlets, one of the most popular news outlets in the United States. I didn't see this on BitChute last night. This is something I watched on Tucker Carlson. Okay, so this is very, very prevalent information. It is proven fact that they have duplicated ballots in the Georgia election. So right now, the news from the left is still telling people from the right that all of this is baseless. So a lot of people don't know what's going on. There's an information war that's happening in the United States, and trust in the news itself has gone down. I want to say there's like 63% of people that don't trust the news in the United States anymore, which is alarmingly high. I think it's higher than it is. People probably trust the news more in Venezuela right now than they do in the United States, which I don't think has ever happened. But that's why we're getting this bottleneck and this pennant that's forming, because fundamentals like that usually turn into technicals on the chart. That's why people measure technicals, other than the fact that you want to figure out, okay, how far can this thing come down? Okay, if we come to the all-time frame, okay, our average price, that's why I like this system. It's just showing me a bunch of averages. Okay, you guys can see that we had our red line on the top for this big run all the way up, blue lines in the bottom. Okay, this run down, we had blue lines on the top, red lines on the bottom. Okay, that's all this thing is looking for, averages. Okay, so if our red is crossing into our blue, that could be where this thing decides to head towards this long-term average. Okay, however, we're still in uptrend territory until we bust below that. So unless the market decides, you know, that it's going to come all the way down here, okay, that's when we become bears on the dollar. Okay, that's when I might look for the next move to be something like this. Okay, that's when I become a bear on the dollar. Right now, even if the market falls a lot, okay, I'm still bullish until we get to our average here. Okay, until we bust our average. Okay, if this thing falls, we get past that price there, get past there, you know, maybe I start to think that the dollar could be in a lot of trouble. Okay, and I think the Fed feels the same way, and I think the Fed will do anything that they can to preserve their own existence. So the odds of that are slim, just so that we're all on the same page. But since this is a higher time frame and we are underneath our moving average lines, this thing could Anywhere to get in on a new entry for another currency pair? Yeah, we're coming to the Euro USD here in a second, Cindy. Just want to give people an overview of kind of what's going on, so that you can really know how to find stuff and pick stuff. On the daily time frame, we broke out. So this is the dollar is very much in flux. So we're getting multiple different signals on this thing. 4-hour time frame, we're looking at up. Okay, long term is down on the monthly time frame, just so we're all on the same page with that. So monthly was down. You know, if we come down to our 1-hour time frame, which is really what I built this system for, okay, to begin with. So I mean, you can kind of use it anywhere as its averages, okay, and just a lot of them. It's just a little bit different from a intuitive standpoint on different time frames, just so everybody can understand what I mean by that. But I do think that this would be sell position for the dollar right now. So Euro USD, and I think Gary Fickhart put out a sentiment for the Euro USD is extremely strong. He's actually South African, so there was I didn't read that with an accent. But this does look oversold right now. And when I say oversold, okay, what oversold actually looks like on the chart is what this is doing. Okay, so when the market comes down and then it does kind of one of these little tail things because it made a big fast fall and then it just, you know, wants to keep pushing. Okay, that's called oversold. It's also a big deal. You know, a lot of people talk about Elliott wave. People think Elliott wave just sounds cool because Elliott is a unique name, and wave, I don't know why people seem to like the name of Elliott wave, but it's basically just Fibonacci's. So just to show you guys Elliott wave, okay, real quick, okay. It's just basically the consideration that there's a bunch of waves. Okay, there's one. Okay, two. Here's my big extension wave, and here's what's called my exhaustion wave. Okay, so what I would expect next is for the market to come back up and test our 4 level up here. I'll make this level green. Okay, this is just a short-term trade. This is likely to where we're gonna go test. Okay, and this is something that we could probably open right now, based on risk reward, and I will show you that as well. So maybe this is our low price, okay, and maybe we go ahead and we throw in our blue here. We've got great risk reward. Maybe we look for a slightly lower low just in case this thing tries to poke us out. We use this other level of support here. Okay, totally up to you. Player's choice on that type of thing. Some people like to get knocked out early if they're going to lose a trade. Personally, I like to let stuff ride because there are trades that we are winning by a lot right now that I was losing last week when we were in this session. Okay, so you know that's just the way that I am. You know, because I know that I have a tendency to be, well, a little bit ahead of the move in a lot of circumstances. So I plan for that because that's the way that my brain works, and I read more news than most people do. So I get excited about stuff, and you know maybe the move's not ready to happen yet. You know, that's really one of the things that I've had to figure out about myself to improve the way that my trading actually works out. How I make decisions and the way that I act versus other people. You know, you don't need to overthink it this much. Most important thing is that you measure this area right here, and you know that from my blue line to my red one, I've got 90 pips. And from my blue one to my green one, I've got 145. So I put 90 here, 145, and now I need to know how much money I'm risking. Okay, so if we've done $200 on all of these, then I might do a 0.2. Okay, if I've been risking, you know, $9, $10, $7, 0.01. Okay, if you're okay with that, if you can burn $10 right now, if you could rip it out of your pocket and feed it to your dog, that's really, really what size you should be trading. Okay, so if you could rip a $100 bill out of your pocket and just let it fly into the wind and just have fun and watch people pick it up, then by all means, that's your number. Okay, so like this is a choice that you're going to make yourself. I'm not telling you guys. You don't need a dog, Ray. I'm just making jokes, okay? All of them to try to help you remember the most important thing about trading is managing risk, okay? So you don't want to take too much of it. You want to take an amount that's similar to what you've taken on most of your decisions, because all of your decisions are worth a certain amount to your brain just because you want to be right. And then there's also the amount of your wallet, okay? So you need to be cognizant of both of those. Click buy. We're in. Let's take a picture. I think this could come up a lot higher. I think I've said in previous sessions, I think the euro can get up to, you know, $1.50 higher. I don't think that's going to happen in the short run because I think they're trying to force it down. So I'm expecting sideways, which very much plays into what this trade is set up to do. So let's take a pick. I think have I covered everybody's brain busters in here today? I feel like we've looked at a lot today. I feel like we absolutely looked at a lot of pairs today. If anybody doesn't have, I'll do one more. Whoever puts in the next one first, I will analyze that. And we'll put a trade idea up for it. And we are going to rip. It's okay, Cindy. I'm gonna post this thing a little bit later on the YouTube channel. 3 o'clock. Usually is about when I get that type of stuff done. GBPJPY. Hyacinth, I don't like that one. To be honest, the only reason I don't like that one is because I think both of them are going to be strong. But I will, I'll pull it up and show you why. Okay, I think both of these. I think this is the GBPJPY is going to be sideways. We haven't looked at this one in a while. Let's go to the hour time or the check out our day chart. Yeah, I don't know. This one looks like a false crown to me. So, but it's very much broken underneath our range up here. It could be coming down. It's sideways. It's really yeah, EURJPY is probably a better look because I'm bullish on both of these. That's the reason why I don't like the GBPJPY right now, because I think that if the UK wants a more expensive pound and Japan, you know, well, it doesn't matter what they want. It's a shelter currency. People are going to move money to there if we have strife here in the US, and things are going crappy here. So I think that's going to happen. So I think that we range trade here. EUROJPY I think is going to be a better opportunity from a trending standpoint. Okay. Looks like we lost this one at the top of this trend. We tried to avoid calling a top on that, but this is a downtrend. This one's a little bit more obvious. We're underneath our averages. We're moving towards this average. Okay. So let's get a quick lower time frame look on here. 4 hour. Okay, still looking at down signal here. We've got our red on the bottom. We're still underneath our black line. You know, let's just go ahead and pull the fib here, because this does look like the beginning of a very awesome downtrend, because it was a very awesome uptrend that we got in at the wrong time. Okay, and really this might be a good opportunity to run a robot more so than anything else. It does look like the market's waiting for a decision here for some reason, but I think that it could fall really anytime. I mean, this run that it went on is a lot of pips. I mean, you're talking about, you know, 1,000 more that it ran on this 4 hour time frame. I think to the bottom of this trend. Yeah, so let's just draw this whole thing. Let's get a quick line on here. The best tool ever devised by man is the line, okay? And we have just broken our trend line. And I've shown you guys this a few times here. Okay, I like confirmation in my life. Okay, I like lots of it. Let's get rid of this fib for a second here. Delete. All right, I just want to show you guys. Okay, we are on the right side of our trend line that I drew here. Okay, so this was our trend for, you know, months. Okay, here is the top of it. Okay, here is a lower high right next to it. Market fell from there, market fell from there, market fell from there. Okay, and then we've got lows, okay, on the right side of our trend line. We've got one here. That's actually higher than the one on the one that's also on this side of the trend line. So this is a down trend. Okay, so you're thinking of a bounce up. You know, Hyacinth, that's there's no guarantees in the world. You know, this thing could very easily come up before it goes down, but really when it comes to the long-term trend at this point, we've kind of shifted. Okay, because we do have just a number of lower lows that are happening on the right side of our trend line from all things technical and all things, you know, really fundamental. There's really no reason to believe that this is a long-term downtrend. And if I pull up my smart gauge also, it's going to tell me the same thing. Okay, we're looking at 78% of indicators are telling me to look for sells. Okay, so I'm going to be looking for sells. Some people are going to trade against trend on this, and maybe you will. Let's come down to the hour. Let's take a look. Because it really doesn't matter what you're going to do. I mean, if you're not going to do it for very long. But this is basically, I'm in a sell situation. I don't really know how else to put it. I might try to, if anything, try to take it up to this little price pocket that's here. I'll draw this. You guys know what I'm talking about. See this M here? Okay. Okay, so I may try to, sell this thing from, this level where the bottom of the M is. Let's actually just get a ray on here. From there. Okay, that might be where I might look to enter. That might be where you're trading towards, Hyacinth, if that's what you're talking about. And a lot of traders might do something like this. Kind of a personal choice, where you want to trade from in general. But I think this is really what that would look like. Let me get their right lines on here. Okay, so this is really what our trade would end up looking like in that scenario. If I was going to buy this, personally, I don't think that's really the way to go. I think that I would be more comfortable selling this thing, just because that seems to have worked out for the last, 2 weeks at least. And hey, we've just got every indication on earth that the banks want us to go that way. Our indicators are telling me down. I'm not going to fight it. What I will do is I will look for a place to manage my risk, because I could be wrong with all of the things that I just said. I know everybody likes to take, people's word at gospel. It doesn't work that way, okay? There are 6 billion people on this earth, and there are about 10 people that control how much money is worth, okay? So you need to be aware of things like that. This is a breakout right now also. I don't know how many more, ways I could figure out that I want to sell this thing. But let's go ahead and get our current market price. Here's where my extension might be. Okay, that's 230 pips away. Okay, now I need a place where I might put a stop loss. Okay, that could be right above my previous high there, at where my 236 is. Okay, so that's totally up to you guys. Some people may actually, looking at this being a potential for a much longer term downtrend, may look for an opportunity to get in this thing twice if it comes against. Grid Trader Pro system has been very popular for this reason, so that might be what I want to look to set up, is something like that. And I'll come down to a lower time frame. We'll get rid of our fib level here, so this can be a little bit easier to see. And it's starting to look pretty noisy with our system and all these lines and all this other stuff. That's basically what I would be looking to do. I know that we're at a low price right now. Some people may set a pending order and they may try to get in up here. Really kind of a player's choice. That's up to you, okay? Personally, I'm just going to split my order, and I'll show you guys how to do that with this time, because I know that I've talked about that in this presentation, but I haven't actually shown how to do that. Okay, so let's just imagine if I had been doing a 0.1, if I've been risking say $100 on every trade, for example, just for easy number's sake. Okay, this first trade to my stop loss is a 242 pip risk. Okay, so since I normally risk 100, I need to figure out how to risk 50 on 242 pips. Okay, and my opportunity on the bottom side. Hold on 1 second here, folks. Where's my control panel at? I need to sneeze, and I don't want to do it in your ear. The yen seasonally strong now, midterm or long term? Hyacinth, it's hard to say. I think the yen's been strong for 2 weeks, so I'm not going to expect that to stop until it stops. And right now, I think it's going to get stronger because we're at relative highs on the euro, and they're trying to devalue their money more than Japan somehow. And they have actually a lot more ability to do that. Japan's been trying to lower the value of the yen the entirety of my life, and they haven't been able to do that. Anytime that Brexit has happened, or coronavirus thing hit, USDJPY takes a massive slide. So I'm going to keep that at the forefront of my brain. But reality is, a lot of things can happen. Okay, so I'm not going to plan. I'm planning for this thing to dig against me if it does. That's why I'm talking about lowering my lot size. Maybe if I want to risk $50 on this, maybe I just do 0.02. Okay, 0.02 is going to risk my $50. My limit value on the bottom is incorrect. Let me make sure that that's right. I got on a tangent here. Let's measure that. 242, same. It's a 1-to-1 from where I'm at now. Okay, that's why I would want to get in and split my order to begin with. Okay, so I'm going to click sell. There's half my order. And now what I'm going to do, and this is going to be different. Okay, I can get in heavier at my other order. because now I risked 50 there with a 0.02. Now I can set my pending order at this 131.2 maybe. Okay, 131.2. Put my stop up above here at 132.44. Okay, that's 124 pips. So I'm risking 120 fewer pips. Okay, so I can have a much larger lot size, a much better risk reward ratio, because my limit is going to be, well, this is a much better trade. This is something like a 3-to-1. Let's figure out exactly what it is. 127.6. Okay. Yeah, just about a 3-to-1. Okay, so I've got a 1-to-1 and a 3-to-1. They're going to average out to a 2-to-1 as long as I don't get stopped out. I don't think that the second one's even going to open, for being honest. Okay, but because all signs are pointing to down as far as sentiment right now. So I'm going to strike at some confidence. If the market tries to give me a little bit of a bull fake out, I'm going to get in again. But we are just about out of time here, folks. If you haven't before, there's actually we actually really need some reviews. I've really started working on the website here lately, and if you guys can, I'm going to share this link here. If you guys give us a review, I would greatly appreciate that. I'm going to post this video of this session here. We are out of time, but I do want to ask. We don't ask for a whole lot here, but I do want to see if I can get a review from you guys. I'm going to go ahead and click on Google reviews. Let's go ahead. How do I get there? How do I actually share this link with you guys? Is it like write a review? Yeah, there we go. Copy link address. So I'm going to share this with you guys. Please, please, please. If you like these presentations, then, this is the easiest way to support us. Really is. I don't want to write one though. You guys could figure this out. It'd be great. All I did was search for 123Trade and it found us over here. But yeah, let me. I know that there's a way to do this. Help me, Tom Cruise. Let's see. I don't want to call. For some reason, I can't share this link with you guys. But either way, you guys can probably figure out how to do a Google review. It might be disrespectful for me to try this hard to help. So I just want to make sure that you guys actually can get there. It won't let me copy this URL because it's like a pop-up window for some reason, Cindy, so I'm not really sure. All I did was come to Google and I typed in 123Trade, all one word with no spaces. And we're here. But I'm not really sure why I can't share that link with you guys. I know I put it in an email recently, but maybe if I click on the business, maybe I click on the map here. But I will. I'll hopefully get this video up here in the next couple hours. I'm going to share the. Yeah, absolutely. I'll put it in the Facebook and the Discord once I get that figured out. I know I have it in an email somewhere. There's probably a place that I can do it here. This is another button. Why is there no like copy link button? Google's usually so good about stuff like this. But I'll find this link. I'll share it on Facebook and Discord with all the other fun stuff that we talked about. I'll get the video edited. I'm going to try to email that out to everybody as well today. But as usual, I appreciate you guys taking the time, spending the time, looking at some fun stuff to trade. We had a great session here today. At least I think so. We've got we're up 1,000 pips in active trades right now. So I'm pretty excited, for the way that things are going. I hope you guys are, especially when it comes to trading. Not as excited about, actually, I'm kind of excited about the fact that, I don't have to be wearing a tinfoil hat anymore. And they actually did have fraud in Georgia because, people with brains, they tried to make us feel stupid for a long time. But I am proud, to have stuck to my guns. Okay. I can spot a lie when I see one, never wrong. Just early. But highest though, I am going to be out tomorrow. I've got to go to New York. I've got to go to a wedding tomorrow. Seems like the only vacations I take are to go to weddings. I know. I'm planning on doing something cool in October. I haven't decided. I think I want to go to the Grand Canyon. But I appreciate all the support from everybody in here. I look forward to seeing you guys next week. You guys have a great weekend and be good or be good at it, folks. Take care.